Hello, Podsmashers of the internet, and welcome to another episode of
80-bit Podsmash.
80-bit Podsmash, where gaming goes to grab a
Beer.
We are your hosts,
Penguin and Termite. I'm Penguin.
and I am Termite.
And 80-bit Podsmash is a weekly video game podcast where we smash together video games and all the surrounding ideas around them, and we smash them together with topics that you care about.
Yes,
So
we do.
Tonight,
Topical.
for example, we are talking about speed runs.
We're going to talk real fast like this. We're going to go through everything.
Hold on. This is going to be speed
and
run
episode's
episode.
over. See you next
it's
week.
over. Have a good week. Yeah, speed run. We did an episode a while back on challenge runs in general, just like the arbitrary challenges that people set up, and speedrunning was a part of that conversation. But with this week being the week of Summer Games Gone,
Summer Games Gone.
Summer Games Done Quit, which
Yes.
is an event that raises charity, and it's a speedrunner organized event where they just is it streamed, or is it like an actual convention?
It's a live event that is streamed. There's one single stream where people have registered in advance, and there's a giant schedule, and they show up. You can watch it. It's pretty much 24 hours.
Sweet. Well, we'll
It's,
get that more into our topic.
Yeah,
but,
we're actually going to run through.
yeah, we'll talk about it. But
stuff.
that's happening this week, so get hyped about that if it hasn't happened already. We're trying to be topical and talk about that while it's happening. So we were looking ahead on the calendar and like, oh snap, let's do a speedrunning episode. So yeah, that's what we'll be talking about tonight. We are where gaming goes to grab a beer.
Where gaming goes to grab a beer.
What are we drinking?
We are drinking a college beer
Oh my gosh.
called Ice House.
Uh-huh.
That's funny that I say it like that. Like we're drinking some Ice House. Like
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Called Ice House. Tell me about Ice House.
Oh geez. So I actually learned a lot about this tonight. I had no idea. There's
He's
a
just
whole
looking at his phone.
because obviously like Miller Lite, Ice House, PBR, they don't have descriptions on their bottles. They're not that kind
Right.
of beer,
They're
right?
just
So I
domestic
have
beers
no
marketed.
idea like what this is other than just drinking
Pretty
it.
5.5% alcohol is pretty strong for like
Like a light.
just like a beer, like a domestic mass marketed
Mm-hmm.
beer. But tell me about this beer.
So
tell me what you learned
it's
about
under
Ice
this
House.
category called an ice beer, which I'd never heard of, and they came out in like the 90s, 1993 actually. And the idea of the ice beer is that the beer is chilled below freezing to about 27 degrees to create ice crystals. Fans say this technique gives the beer a smooth taste. So it's
Interesting.
somewhere in the fermenting process, it's frozen.
Are there other examples? Like
Yeah, there's a whole
Smirnoff
bunch of them.
Ice? Is that like an ice beer too?
Anything that has ice in the title is an ice beer. So
Interesting.
yes, there is Milwaukee's Best Ice. There is Ice House.
I would be
There's-
interested in talking to someone who's like Kevin, who's a brewer,
and ask him about
or who
this.
has brewed, like, and ask him what his opinion is. Like, does that actually have any effect on it? Does it? Because I would imagine that ice would just negatively impact it. I feel like the ice crystals would just, I don't know.
Well,
like,
you'd have to do
damage
it after the fermenting process because the
that
yeast
makes
would
sense.
die.
Yeah,
in being
exactly.
frozen.
Yeah.
So it's got to be like after you're done
Maybe it has something to
fermenting.
do. You know how like you put a drop of water in whiskey, or you put ice in whiskey, and it supposedly enhances the flavor.
I wonder if it's that.
Maybe it's a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder.
I can't say that it tastes better than craft beer. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell a difference. You know what I mean? I'm not drinking it. Maybe if I were to compare this to like a Budweiser right now, I would have a different take on it. But just drinking this, I'm like, I said to you, as soon as it touched my tongue, I was like, oh my gosh, my olfactory like memories started firing. And I'm like, I thought about like a New Year's party where I first had beer, but again, it was this crappy college beer, probably like Rolling Rock or something. I thought of a party in college. I did a case race with some friends, my
Nice.
theater department. That was ridiculous.
What's a case race?
A case race is not something that young people listening to this should aspire
We are a
to.
family-friendly podcast.
But it is let's just say that you get like 10 cases and you split up into 2 teams, 5 cases per team. And the team who finishes their case, their 5 cases first wins.
How many people are in a team?
Oh, there's like 20, 30 people on
Oh,
a team.
okay.
So it was a lot of us. But
So you get like a fourth of a case to yourself.
yeah, but it was still like
That's a
4 or
lot.
5 beers a piece.
Yeah.
So let's just say that Penguin
Oh, I
was
would win that.
Penguin was a little bit inebriated. Well, so part of the problem was you don't think of these beers as like having much difference between them when you're drinking just one. You're like, okay, crappy beer is crappy beer. But there's a wild difference between PBR and Rolling Rock, and you don't learn it until you're slamming PBR after PBR, and you're like, gosh, this is like drinking bread. And then someone hands you a Rolling Rock, and you're like, what is this water? What is this? What is this heavenly dew? It's just so like easy. It tastes like nothing at that point. So that's what happened. Our team lost, and I blame it over the fact that we had like 3 cases of PBR, and they had like Rolling Rocks and Natty Lights or whatever, and I'm like, this is bull crap.
That's funny.
So anyways, yes, that's the Penguin's take on this beer. Is just it brings back college memories of crappy beer. I'm glad that I've moved on to better tasting beer in general.
And New York Times called this whole ice beer thing a fad. And here we are
drinking Ice House.
I don't even know math. 1993 to now, 26 years?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 26 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So yeah, it's good. I like it. It's refreshing. It's cold because I put it in a cold refrigerator, I guess. It's very easily drinkable. It's just like it goes down.
I will say that I'm impressed by the 5.5% alcohol, and I don't think of these kinds of beers as having that much ABV.
Yeah.
And yet here we are. So
there you go.
Anyways, let's move on. What's going on in the world? We right now are right before E3, so there's all kinds of things leaking and early announcements and people trying to get ahead of E3.
Completely irrelevant to you because E3 has happened.
Yeah, exactly.
To your listened ears.
You've already heard all of our breakdowns and everything, so.
And you know everything that's going on. So if this stuff is what I call OBE, obfuscated by events, meaning irrelevant, then I apologize. But there's some things that I think are timeless in their announcements because...
Plus, we might not cover them when we're doing our E3 stuff because we've already covered them.
Right.
From our perspective.
Exactly.
So if we haven't talked about these things in our E3 stuff, we'll talk about them now. So
there was a Pokemon Sword and Shield Direct today. Did you watch it?
Yes, I did. I watched it posthumously after it had finished. So I watched just the YouTube video. I didn't watch it live. Mostly because I didn't remember until I looked and saw your post about it on our Facebook page. And you're like, this is coming on in 10 minutes. And I was like, when did he post that? And it was like an hour ago. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just watch it now.
Yeah, I kind of live tweeted it a little bit.
Yeah.
I retweeted someone else, Wario64. He tweeted all the stuff as it was happening, so I kind of retweeted his and then added my own little comments in. I'll run through the bullet points. There's just a couple, and then if there's anything here that you're excited about, chime in, and we'll talk about it. So the release date is November 15th, which is a week after Death Stranding. So November's already starting to pack in.
Filling up.
Yep. We met the Galar region's Pokemon Professor, your rival, and the champions. There's 3 key characters that we've met. We learned that those giant stadiums we saw previously are now Pokemon gyms, because that got me excited. It was like, oh, the gym is now this massive fight with tons of people and a huge crowd in a stadium.
Makes sense. This is something that would, I think, happen in a world like that.
Yeah. So. But in previous games, you just go to a building
you go and
it's
you're like,
one-on-one fight in like a cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of anyway, there's 7 new Gen 8 Pokemon revealed. One of them was okay, but I wasn't really like super blown away.
None of them were like really cool. Yeah, they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel now, like Snapping Turtle.
He did cool. I liked him. That was the one I liked.
You like the Snapping Turtle?
Yeah, of all of them.
Well, did you like the legendary? You said you liked at least one of the legendaries.
Of the 2 they showed, the sword was better, but I was hoping for a little bit more creativity.
Yeah, both of them were just
They're
dogs.
just a wolf or a dog.
Yeah,
one has a sword in his mouth, one has a shield.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of...
Again, like...
What are they doing?
Scraping the bottom of the barrel. Yeah.
And they already did legendary dogs.
And they already did sword. They did the Swords of Destiny or whatever. The three like night, like, I don't know because I don't know Pokemon games, but there's like 3, they're not dogs, but they're like
the 3
horses.
legendary dogs, and they did horses
they've
too.
done 3 legendary dogs, and they've done
Cobalion was one of them.
3 horses that are called the Swords of Destiny because they were modeled after the 3 Musketeers.
Oh,
it was one of the trivia questions on our Pokemon episode.
I don't remember that at all.
Yep.
Okay, cool. You know how I pay attention. So yeah, I'm kind of underwhelmed by the legendaries. I wish they could.
The Pokemon in general, it just seems like
the Snapping Turtle was cool. Other than that, everyone else was like meh. It's cool. What I did like was the new battle mechanic, which every single generation of Pokemon has a new type of battle mechanic thing. And this time it'll be a Dynamax system where the Pokemon grows to super...
Get big! They just get real big!
Like Godzilla style like size. And you fight each other. And this system, they told us some details about it. So you can only use it once per battle. And it only lasts for 3 turns.
I'm only ever going to use it on Metapod. It's a giant Metapod. Metapod, use Harden. That's exactly it. Yep.
I'll use my Magikarp.
Yeah, exactly.
Like ridiculous, right?
Watch that. That just happens to be a combination where like the entire stadium just like caves from underneath you and it kills everything on the map. Yeah,
that would be funny.
That's gonna be an awesome secret.
And the coolest part that I thought from the whole direct was the Dynamax Pokemon battles.
The raids looked kind of cool. It's like they're actually adding raiding. It was like the one innovation where like great. Welcome to like 10 years ago, Pokemon.
Yeah, they kind of caught up to what
Finally.
multiplayer is.
Yeah.
So 4-player co-op, they can bring down a Dynamax Pokemon and catch it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I loved was the Pokemon, or the Pokeballs. They're like, they grow to like
They
this
get big,
massive
yeah.
size.
That's kinda
and they have to
cute.
like throw it with 2 hands over their head.
Yeah.
I'm like animating this right now away from my mic. So that was really cool. I'm dying to play some co-op with friends with Pokemon.
That will
It's
be
never really happened.
That's the most compelling thing for me is the co-op raids for versus giant Pokemon.
And the Pokemon that you're trying to catch stays in its Dynamax form the entire battle, but each of your 4 people, your team, they can still use the Dynamax system, but you have the same limitations, once per battle and up to 3 turns per. So you'd almost have to strategize about like who is going to use theirs. Yeah. And with
and
what
I'm interested.
types.
The one thing they didn't show was they didn't show anything about PvP. With like player versus player. Like I would think that with the Switch, they talked about how use local multiplayer to.
Since that has been in every single Pokemon since the beginning, I'm assuming it's implied that we're going to have it.
Of course. No, I'm not worried about it not having it. I was more like, oh, how are they going to innovate this with the Switch? How are they going to innovate this with the local wireless?
Right. There's Pokemon battles, but they're Pokemon battles. There's not really anything you can do new. They did show us what was new, and that's the Dynamax system, which will be used in multiplayer against each other. And then they showed us the 4-player co-op raid. I'm assuming that's.
I bet you $10 that they ban in tournaments. They ban the Dynamax system,
or they lean into it. And they let everyone
Uh-huh.
use it, but they have restrictions on which Pokemon are allowed or even in these tournaments because of their unbalancing. But yeah, so that's actually a good question that you raised, because there's either more things we don't know. Apparently, we don't know if there's random encounters anymore, because according to the direct, what we saw the footage, there was no random encounters.
No, I saw they were like he was in the grass,
but you saw
and
it in the grass.
Like an exclamation point came up.
Right, but you saw the Pokemon in the grass.
Oh, did you see the Pokemon in the grass? I didn't see the Pokemon in the grass.
That was the difference.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So is it using Pokemon?
That's cool. I would love that if they got rid of random encounters and just made it, especially with a 3D game where presumably you should be able to see everything.
Oh yeah, free controlled camera.
Yeah, and
yep,
you can
it's
just
not a fixed camera anymore.
Yeah, and you can just kind of like, oh look, there's a Pokemon over there. I want to go fight it, or I'm going to avoid that Pokemon because I have no interest in fighting it. You'll be able to. I imagine they'll still be randomly generated, random spawns and stuff like that. But just like it's about there are some things that Pokemon has needed to bring into the implement from other RPGs that other RPGs have been doing forever now. So
yeah, and Let's Go Pikachu Eevee has that system where they're not random encounters, but you can see them. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It looks pretty cool. I'm pumped. I have it pre-ordered. You know how I feel about pre-orders. Yep. So Pokemon blows up my skirt.
I don't know. I'm torn. I might wait to see what people see. How many people get it, therefore how many people I'll have to play it with. There's a couple people in my office who will probably get it, and if I have the opportunity to play with them, then I'd be more motivated. And of course, you'll have it to play it with. So, I don't know. I just haven't been into Pokemon since freaking Gold. And I talked about that in our Pokemon episode. And I haven't seen anything from this game.
So I was also asking you about your DS you're supposed to be getting.
Oh, yeah.
So you can play some Pokemon.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But looking at this, the Direct, I didn't see anything that was like, oh, that blows me away. I have to play it. Like, that's so innovative for Pokemon. It really looks just like some more Pokemon, except they can get big now. Like,
right.
That's cool. The raid idea sounds really cool, but
the raids in the stadium. So in Pokemon Ultra Moon and in Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, they kind of got away from the gyms. They didn't highlight that anymore. They did these island trials, which was different and cool because it was different. But I'm kind of excited they're going back to the gyms.
But that's what I mean. Is like
stadiums. Okay,
cool. They did something different for Sun and Moon, and then they're like, oh, people didn't receive that well, so we're going back to gyms. But gyms have been in every other Pokemon game forever. So I'm like,
I like it, but
I know, it's fine. It's comfortable. It's familiar. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing that I will watch and go, oh my gosh, that's the Pokemon game that I've been waiting for.
Right.
To me, I'm just like, okay, it's more Pokemon. So it's fine. I'm still interested in possibly getting it, but it's not like a must buy for me yet. Just depending on how finances shape out. When November is going to be gearing up to Christmas and everything. Right. So a lot of my funds are going to be set aside for that. On top of a bunch of other releases that are coming out in that window that I'm interested in. Like you just pointed out, Death Stranding probably will be a bigger priority for me than
Death Stranding looks
Pokemon.
Incredible. Death Stranding looks so freaking good.
I'm going to be waiting for that one too, for reviews on that before I grab it too. So.
Hopefully there's more at E3 and you guys already know more about it, and what we're talking about is, quote, old news.
Yeah.
That's probably what's going to happen. Yeah. There was another thing I wanted to highlight because Sony's not at E3, so hopefully, unless they drop some crazy surprise state of play video, we haven't
show up during someone else's press conference.
Yeah.
Surprise.
There was a little bit more of the PlayStation 5, what they're calling cross-gen, and I only want to highlight this because I'm still beating the drum that the move from PlayStation 4 Pro to PlayStation 5 is I'm sorry. Yeah, that move is not going to be any different for its player base than the move from a PlayStation 4 to a 4 Pro.
Right.
This is the first time
so
we've
it's just
seen...
going to be a point. It's going to be half a leap. Half of a...
Right.
Half a
well,
leap.
No. Technologically, it will be a much bigger gap. What I'm highlighting is they're telling us in this new article that was posted on various news outlets, Jim Ryan, who recently stepped into the position of SIE president, sat down with GameSpot, sister site CNET, to discuss some of Sony's high-level plans for its next console. So what they're saying is the games will be cross-gen. So you buy the title for PS4 and it will work on PS5.
Right.
I'm like, that's a given. Why wouldn't they do that?
Uh-huh.
Because of the half-step systems.
Yeah.
And there has been a new precedent set up by the half-step systems where games just work on both consoles and the developers tweak them for performance, right?
Right.
Same architecture across the board now between PC and consoles.
Uh-huh.
So this is what that is. That's all it is.
Well, okay.
And everyone's blowing it up to be this new, like, it's going to be backwards compatible with PS4, but it's not. It's the same. It's just an upgrade. So you're going to buy it on PS4, and then you're going to put that same disc
I think the difference
into
is,
your 5, and it will play better.
I think the difference is that they're going to have, yes, for existing PlayStation 4 games and PlayStation 4 games that come out between now and the PlayStation 5, be going beyond this year, 2021, 2022, 2023. By then, for sure, PlayStation 4 games will be phased out, and the games that come out will just be PlayStation 5 games. And so unlike the PlayStation 4 Pro, where all the games that have come out since the Pro have been playable on both systems, I think all the games that will be coming out leading up to the PlayStation 5 will be available for both systems. We'll have maybe 1, maybe 2 transitional years where games come out on both systems, but then eventually there's going to be like PlayStation 5.
Sure, yeah, we're going to get to a point. There's going to be a cliff. It's like, okay, if you don't have a 5, this is not going to work anymore.
You don't have a 5, yeah. And once they've increased the amount of consoles sold, like once they have an install base, then they're just going to be like, okay, cool, we're dropping the PlayStation 4. So that's the I would say that's the difference. That's what makes it a full, and when it comes to like generational speak, if you will, like console generations, that's the major difference. Is the PlayStation 5, there will be a cutoff point where PlayStation 4 games are no longer made. Unlike there wasn't ever like, oh, only PlayStation 4 Pro games are being made. You can't get
that
this.
Never happened,
yeah,
right.
there's no game out there that's only playable on the PlayStation 4 Pro. There will be games that are only playable on the PlayStation 5 in 2 or 3 years, I would say. Right. So
I'm going to read this part to you because it's the part that's different, then we'll move on. One of the biggest talking points was that Ryan called, quote, cross-generational play. This means those who pick up a PlayStation 5, or whatever it's called, will be able to continue playing their PS4 games on the new box. Not only that, but Ryan suggested that PlayStation friends lists will span both systems. Whether it's backwards compatibility or the possibility of cross-generational play, we'll be able to transition that community to the next gen. It won't be a binary choice about whether you have to be either on PlayStation 4 or next gen to continue your friendship. And this is a big deal because the PlayStation 4 does not currently offer backwards compatibility like Xbox One does. And in previous interviews, backwards compatibility and cross-gen play is incredibly important in help making the transition between systems as seamless as possible. So that was the last, like, okay, they're using the exact same infrastructure between the PS4 and 5. It's just like that cross-gen or that half-gen step. Now it's going to the next gen.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing's really going to change. You're going to get a PS5. Everything's pretty. And eventually, like you highlighted, there'll be a cliff where this is an actual PlayStation 5 title.
I have no problem with anything you're describing.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, it sounds great because
all
it's
of it's
like,
cool,
it's
but
like
it's just,
I want to still be able to play Borderlands. If I buy a PlayStation 5 in year 1, I'm still going to want to be able to play Borderlands or Monster Hunter with my friends who haven't been able to afford to buy the PlayStation 5 yet. It would suck to be like, well, I probably am going to sell my PS4 in order to afford my PlayStation 5, to subsidize it, if you will. So it's like, I'm going to, I might not have a PlayStation 4 anymore. So if I have a PlayStation 5, if I wasn't able to still play with those friends, that would be kind of crappy. So being able to play my games, have like, oh, I've already got all my games, so I can still play all my games, is going to be nice, especially considering the worst feeling in the world is buying a brand new console and there being nothing to play for it.
Right.
And you having to pay even more money just to play games on it. Mm-hmm. So
it reminds me of
this just sounds to me as a new standard.
When the Xbox 360 came out, everyone just bought it. And then they played Halo 2 on it. It was still like the most popular game, which Halo 2 was an OG Xbox console. Yep. But that friends list still persisted. So this has been done before. Yep. I don't know. Maybe I'm just
no, you're right.
Kind of cynical, it has been done. And I'm like, this isn't really a feature. Like, why are we talking about this? Kind of a waste of my time. It's been done before,
but the last time it was done was like a long time ago, long enough for people to kind of forgotten it and gotten used to the new standard.
Yeah.
And so they're touting it as some awesome revolutionary thing when you and I can recognize, no, this, we spend a lot of time thinking and talking about video game history, so
Yeah.
we're going to recognize that we're going to recognize it for what it is, which is, yeah, this should be the standard in the first place. The fact that you took it away from us is one of the biggest knocks to console gaming that has ever happened.
Yeah.
So, because PC gaming doesn't have that problem, so.
Right? That's true. It's been the same since
it's always the same.
eternity.
Well, you can play Doom on your PS.
PC.
You can play Doom on your PC and also play with The Witcher. Yeah, there we go. That's
sure.
I was like, title.
And you can do your taxes and update your drivers and change configurations.
Exactly.
And
That's what I'm just saying.
I'm just looking for like new information, and these things aren't hitting that.
They're
And
not
I'm
really
getting
new.
excited because they're talking about the next generation, but what are they talking about? It's just stuff I already kind of know and
would have expected.
Like,
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, things that we already know about aren't really our favorite things, but doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Favorite things. What's your favorite thing today? You have to be really quick because we talked too long about Pokemon.
We talked a lot about Pokemon.
And ice beer for some reason.
Yeah. E3 is my favorite thing. I'm in love with it. And I know we're getting ready to go into hype mode with it. And when I said in our pre-show coverage that it's kind of an underwhelming E3, that's in the context of all the other E3 hypes we've had. So yeah, this is a weaker one. But still, I love E3. I love all the air around it. I love all the leaks that are happening. And all the
lots
hype.
of leaks are happening.
It's crazy. Yeah. And talking about those leaks is a waste of y'all's time because by the time this episode airs, it'll all have been done, settled, and over. But I'm excited about it now. I love the hype. I love the internet, the community that's going on. Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, everywhere is just like, E3, what's going to happen next? It's just so cool, and I love the energy.
Nice.
So I'm feeding off of it.
Great.
I'm excited.
Are
you excited?
I am excited. It's not my favorite thing, though.
Okay.
Favorite thing...
That sucks.
Is a show that Macy and I binged in one weekend. It was only 6 episodes, so it wasn't like a crazy feat. But it's a show called Good Omens. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's based off of a book by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. And it was good. It has David Tennant in it, which I will watch David Tennant in anything and love him.
Jessica Jones villain?
Yes, Jessica Jones villain, but who he
And
really
Doctor
is he's Doctor Who. He is the best Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He plays a demon. He's hilarious. The whole the whole show is pretty funny. From what I've heard from people who have read the book, because I hadn't read the book going into it, but from people who have, they say it's very, very close, if not identical, to the book. So in an age where people are salty about Game of Thrones and how it's deviated from the books that haven't even been written yet, it was refreshing to hear about something that stuck closely to the book and was well received. So, my favorite thing. Go check it out. Good Omens.
It's
really
on
good.
Netflix?
Amazon Prime.
So
if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can watch it.
Oh, I have heard of that show.
Yeah, it's good. It's
All
good.
right,
You and your wife should watch it. It's 6 episodes.
That's
like
quick.
roughly an hour each. So,
All right.
boom, boom, boom. So, yeah.
It's like
great.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yep. Basically, the premise for those who are interested, who maybe not have heard of it or seen it advertised, basically it's an angel and a demon who are responsible for like keeping an eye on the Antichrist, and they've lost him right before the apocalypse happens. So
okay.
It's good. Yeah, it's pretty
Nice.
funny.
Little, what do they call it? Etymology going on in there?
Etymology
Is that what it's called?
Study of names.
Oh. What is the study of the... people are screaming this in their steering wheel now who know this. What do you call like the study of end times?
Eschatology, is that
it?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
It makes me sound smart.
If you hear this, message me what it is.
Great. All right. Yes, that's favorite things. Yay. What's our next segment? It's DLC.
Downloadable content. I was like, what is DLC?
What is that? What's that thing?
My brain
Downloadable
just went
content?
gone.
Yeah.
You turn the mics on and the brain checks
The
out.
brain is gone. Yep. The downloadable content is the second segment of our podcast where we like to have a little fun mini discussion, something that sometimes has something to do with our main topic, sometimes it doesn't. This one's a little bit close to our main topic, but it's a conversation about video games that you wouldn't normally have.
That's right. A
Anyways.
little add-on, a little extra,
Yeah.
a little
Something
expensive,
creative.
something that is enticing to you to spend more money. In this case, it's exactly this 2% of what our podcast costs
you. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just more time. So I was thinking about speedrunning, and all my thoughts were like, okay, I could do something about
You
like
stole my
races and speed.
dream scenario
And
here.
I did. I saw your dream scenario. I decided to go in the opposite direction of what a speed run would be, and I decided if you could just take your time on a game and really dig into it, and what circumstance would allow you to do that? Well, anybody who's familiar with the show Dragon Ball Z is familiar with this idea called the hyperbolic time chamber, which is where the characters would go into the hyperbolic time chamber, and for them, they would be able to train for years. And
Nope, 1 year.
It was 1 year.
But
it was
real
1
day,
year is
24
a
hours
day. Yes.
in our real world.
Yeah.
Is 1 year in
So
this
they go
chamber.
in and they train for a year, and then they come out and it's only been 1 day.
Yep.
So it's if you listen to our episode about plot, it is the very definition of a plot device. It existed so that the characters could get beat up earlier in the season and then have a logical explanation for why they can kick butt against the villains later in the season. Oh yeah, they just trained for 3 years, but it was condensed into 3 days.
There's more to the lore than that. They can only like use it twice in their lifetime because it has like some toll on them, and so they.
Except I'm pretty sure in Dragon Ball Super they've already broken that, but
probably
our friend Matt can verify that.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, plot device.
Yeah, plot device. Anyway, so let's say the hyperbolic time chamber exists in real life, and you can go into it, and let's make it even more. Let's make it even so that like even more intense, so that you can play any game for a year, or let's just say any game for as long as it takes for you to beat it, and only 1 hour will have passed in the real world. So it has no negative consequences on
you're taking the
life.
idea and changing it.
I'm changing it a little bit, but it's
Okay.
still the same idea. It's like you go in and you play for as long as you want. You play the game to its fullest, and then you come out and only an hour has passed in your real world, so no negative consequences. Your wife's not mad. Your kid's still taken care of.
Yeah, it's only been an hour.
You can fit it in around work.
You can do a lunch day, a lunch
exactly.
break.
Yeah, you can
in the
do it
middle
with
of
your
your
lunch
day.
break. Exactly. So what game would you play? Game, or I would even say game franchise.
And you're
Like,
you're saying it's not so instead of the 1 year cap, there's not even that. It's
not even that.
literally how long it takes me to get all of it.
Yeah, while
to
still taking
consume.
breaks and not like, you're still in the chamber and you're like, okay, I just need to get my eyes. Like, you don't have to play it all in one.
Yeah.
You don't have to play a 40-hour game in one sitting. You just like.
And you still sleep, so
yeah,
multiple
you can
days
still,
would
yeah,
happen.
you can go sleep and you can eat and drink and watch Netflix or whatever, or work out and run. Whatever you, whatever you need to
if
like.
we're gonna go into the hyperbolic time chamber within its confines, I could talk to you about a whole podcast about my plans because you can like tweak the humidity and the gravity and what that would mean for running and all those implications. But you're just saying, let's take that idea.
The idea is like if you could just like no consequences dig yourself into a franchise, ideally one that you never dug into before. Like this is something where it's like you know what, I just don't have the time in the world to get into. For me it would be like for me I'll just say mine. Like for me it would be like a Bethesda RPG where I'm just like
that's where I'm thinking.
I'd probably do
Don't spoil
Skyrim.
it.
I'd probably just be like,
I
you know
hate
what?
you. That's
like,
my game. That's what I was gonna pick.
Skyrim. Yeah, because I've tried and I'm just like I just don't want to devote the time into this game to like get it to the point where I'm compelled by it. So like I just have always put it aside and never touched it. So that would
it's
be
either going to
one.
be, for me, it's going to be like you said, a Bethesda RPG where it's one game. And I was thinking either Oblivion or Skyrim because those games are so big and they take so much. Or it'd be a Japanese RPG like Persona 5.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I would love to like just sink into multiple playthroughs, see every line of dialogue and do everything, get to platinum. But also, I love the idea.
I would throw Mass Effect in there too because I've always wanted to like just get into it. And like, but again, it's like I just don't want to put like, I think about the games like this is like a 60 to a 100-hour game or whatever.
And there's
I just
3 of them.
Don't,
4 if you count
Yeah,
Andromeda.
I just don't want to do that right now when there's other games that I'm enjoying more that I want to play. Yeah.
And so that's my first, a single game, right?
Yep.
I'm going to twist you a little bit
Sure.
and say, how about a series of games?
Well, yeah, Mass Effect would that would be my the Mass Effect
And
series.
all
I
three
would
of
do
them.
1, 2, and 3.
So
yeah.
I've always I have at my desk at work because I took the time at home and put this together, and I didn't make a spreadsheet for some reason, but I wrote it all out on paper, what it would take to do an entire Zelda playthrough. So I went on to howlongtobeat.com, and you can type in any video game you want, and it kind of gives you an average of completion time. And I was like, what would it take if I wanted to spend an entire summer, like 3 months, and play through all the Zeldas in order, every single main console entry Zelda, including the handhelds, actually. Basically not the CDI ones, because we don't talk about those. Yeah. And I don't remember the numbers, but it was there. But it's always been a dream of mine to do that. But I just don't have time. So this would be perfect. Like, I'm going to play through every Zelda again. I'm going to come back out like Zelda refreshed.
Yep.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll throw another one out there because it was topical to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Pokemon. I would just I would dig into all
you
the
would
Pokemon
be
games.
so burnt out. You would never see a Pokemon again.
Like,
oh my
I hate all
gosh.
these things.
Because they're so similar, it's like, get 8 badges, go beat the champions for like 8 games straight.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, this one's a little different.
I don't want to look at any cutesy animals ever again. I'm just going to punch them in the face.
Especially if you were trying to complete the Pokedexes for all of them.
Oh my gosh.
If you did that,
Nuts. Oh man. Okay, cool.
This is a fantastic musing. I do this a lot.
Yep.
I think about this while
That's
running.
why I was thinking about you. I was like, he's going to
This is like
this one.
the number one. If I'm ever daydreaming about video games, it's about a hyperbolic time
So
chamber.
anyone out there who is, experimenting with like quantum physics and maybe stumbles across the technology that would take to make the hyperbolic time chamber work,
Yes.
Termite and Penguin would love to sign up for the beta test of that.
Yep.
So we can
Absolutely.
get some game time in without
We
making
come
our
back.
wives
We come back
mad.
at like 80 years old. So like an hour has passed, but we've aged 80 years.
Worth it.
What happened?
Totally worth it.
I can't play with my kids.
I don't know. Somewhere along the line, we got lost in the Spyro series. We really intended to only like play through the Halo games.
Oh, even worse. What if you got stuck with a game? You got lost in
my
time,
gosh.
and you only brought like Ocarina of Time with you, and so that's it. That's all you have.
That's it.
Nothing.
Nothing
Your whole
forever
world is Ocarina of
your
Time
existence.
for 80 years.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Cool. Well, let's hear what your thoughts are. What games or game franchises would you dig into if time suddenly became not an issue for you? Time, I would say money as well. Like in this hypothetical, literally, you walk in and any game is available to you.
Oh man,
but you only have
didn't
one.
Say that. We could do an entire show.
Just throw
about
out
just this.
Just continue the discussion on Reddit. So,
Yes, it's a good idea.
DLC.
Speaking of Reddit,
Tell
we
us.
have lots of social media places you can find us. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. All of our tags are 80-bit Podsmash, 80-bit Podsmash. Please interact with us there. Tag us, add us, comment at us.
At us.
Don't at me, brah.
But at me, bruh.
How about that? And then if you would like to find us on various platforms to listen to our podcast, we are on our landing webpage is 80bitpodsmash.com, where we have links to Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio, among various other platforms. If we don't exist on a platform you would like us to be, let us know. Our RSS feed is available. You should be able to import that to any app you would like and find us. Subscribe to us. Get our shows every Monday at midnight. Look for us there. 80bitpodsmash.com.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are talking about speedruns tonight.
I almost went bow, bow, bow. Wait, this isn't DLC.
So, speedruns. What does
are
it mean
speedruns?
to speedrun a game? I think this might be one of those very, very self-explanatory ones. It means to do it as fast as you can. And ideally, you're competing against other people. And I mean, you could do your own speed run of a game. You could say, I think I could beat this game in X amount of time and like challenge yourself to it. And that's one way of doing it. But there's an entire community built around people who are trying to get the fastest times, and they're trying to do the fastest speed runs of a game. So there's an entire community around it. It's awesome. It's crazy. These people are super impressive with just the way, the knowledge and acumen that they've just the ability to know a game so well that you can do it faster than everybody else. Hope presumably if you're ambitious enough.
And in a previous
world.
topic, we talked about challenges. It's one thing to kind of self-impose a challenge on you, or to see something in the game and you're like, oh, I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to tweak the game to do this. But it's an entirely different world to speedrun it and to look at a game through those lenses of like, oh, I can skip this entirely. There's no reason why I have to do it to complete the game. Or even better, it's like finding glitches to like clip through walls, or like find a tiny corner in the map that allows you to glitch into another level that's supposed to be like 20 hours later in the game. So there's so many different ways to, and it's so nuanced. And so much, to me, it's harder to be an expert speedrunner than it is to just overcome a challenge.
Yeah, and there's,
But maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, sometimes they are assisted by technology, so they basically what they do is they load the game up into a program, essentially. So like the program has a built-in emulator that runs the game, but then also like tweaks with the game's code in a way that it's not hacking the game, but what it's doing is it's you're using the computer as an assist for the input.
Yep.
To do what humans couldn't possibly do.
Yeah, they slow the game down to the frames.
Yeah,
and
and
then
you couldn't
button
possibly input your, you couldn't possibly hit the A button
and
faster
it's almost
than a
like
computer could.
scripted.
Yeah.
And so it's like at this frame, press this button, which initiates this animation, which takes this many frames. So it cancel that animation and start into this one. It gets crazy.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of different types of speedrunning. You know, so it's more than just like who can get the fastest time, because like we just said, there's all these stipulations. You could load the computer emulator into an emulator and have a computer assist you with the inputs in order to do the fastest time. Or you could just say, no, you have to be able to play it with just your, with the standard controller. So there's all types. So what are some of the types of speedrunning? Termite?
The types that I know of, there is like 100% completion, which is like full completion, requires player to complete the game to its fullest, including all key upgrades, items, finding all the secrets. This is like the platinum trophy, right? You've 100% it. You've seen anything. Another category kind of close to that is the any percent or fastest completion.
Yeah,
refers
any
to
percent are objectively the
just getting to the credits as quickly as possible.
The credits usually are
and often involves sequence breaking. So going out of sequence of the game. So breaking the level cycle.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yep. No, that makes sense as to why they would do it. Yeah.
And then along those lines is the minimalist completion. How fast can you complete the game to the credits with completing as little things in the game as possible?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. And that's just like the percentage completions. There's also competitive speedrunning where you're competing against each other.
Right. So
there's
two people,
tool
they loaded up the
assistance
same. Yeah,
like
tool assisted is
what
one
you
I
were
was talking about. Yep.
Then there's the glitch usage where that's allowed or not.
Yeah, exactly. So they put all these stipulations depending on the game. They'll be like, you know what, this is just too cheese. One of the greatest examples I think we actually talked about in our challenge run episode was the speed runs for Breath of the Wild. They said, and this wasn't necessarily a glitch, so it's a little different because this was built into the game, but there were some people that were like, they found out that, the fastest way to get to Ganon, to beat the game, to get to the credits or whatever, was if you had an amiibo, you could summon Epona.
Right.
And having a horse right off the bat seriously increased the time. But some people were like, no, that's not fair because not everybody has an amiibo.
It's kind of like pay to win almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And some people were like, well, it's still, it's not a glitch. It's not a cheat. We're not exploiting anything. We're literally using the tools they built into the game. So the fastest time is the fastest time, yo. So yeah, there was kind of a controversy in there. So there's all, the communities themselves. One of the things that I love about speedrunning, which we can talk more about, we'll talk more about later, is really it's the communities that organize these things. There's not some official organization. Maybe there will be in the future, but there's not some speedrunning league that determines all the rules for each thing.
Well, there are like little leagues within each of these categories.
Sure, yeah.
So there are people out there tracking them.
But there's still all community.
Right.
Organized. It's not Nintendo doesn't have their speedrunning league,
Sure.
The ESA doesn't have a speedrunning league that is funded and commercialized. It's all these just little organizations of communities that have bubbled up around these games and said, hey, we can do it the fastest.
I wonder if Guinness Book of Records has it. Let me see. There are a list of speedrunners featured in the Guinness Book of Records.
Nice. Well, we'll try to link off. Yeah, I was going to say we can link off to it too if we want to.
That's interesting. So there is a tiny hole in that about there's no official organization because I'm sure the Guinness Book of Records has rules that people can do. But
speaking of organizations, while we're still talking about community-run organizations,
the
reason why we're doing this episode this week is because Summer Games Done Quick is happening. What is Games Done Quick? We kind of were touching on it a little bit, but let's revisit that. What's Games Done Quick, Termite?
This is taken right from their wiki, so it's a great succinct definition of what they are. A semi-annual video game speedrun charity marathon held in the United States, originally organized by the Speed Demos Archive and Speedruns Live communities. Again, talking about your communities of organizing and having names being officialized. Since 2015, it has been handled by Games Done Quick LLC since 2010. The events have raised money for several charities, the most common two being Prevent Cancer Foundation and Doctors Without Borders. The events are broadcast live on Twitch. Viewers are encouraged to donate for incentives during the stream, such as naming characters in a run, having the runners attempt more difficult challenges, or winning prizes. Over $19.3 million has been raised across 22 marathons.
That's crazy. What other competitive gaming organization just says, hey, we're going to raise money for charity?
Right?
The thing I can, I'll make the comparison later between speedrunning and esports, but you don't see the Overwatch League raising money for charity. They're raising money for their own selves. You know what I mean? Same thing with, I can think of any esport. Again, esports are their own thing, which there's no problem with that at the end of the day. But the fact that speedrunners were like, you know what? We have all this opportunity to leverage an audience, but instead of trying to enrich ourselves, we're going to donate to charity. That's just, I don't know. That says something awesome to me about the type of people that are speedrunners, the quality of person. These are good folk.
Yeah.
what they do, they're passionate about what they love, and they're not trying to get rich off of it. I'm sure some of them have garnered some popularity, are probably popular on Twitch, and have probably been able to make somewhat of a living off of it.
Oh, they do. Absolutely.
Good for them. Yep. Absolutely. But again, these people aren't seeking, they're they're making money off of what they're passionate about, and that's awesome, but they're not seeking to like then enrich themselves as a result of it. Instead, they're raising money for charity. So I think it's a
sweet.
really cool community. So definitely worth Penguin and Termite talking about it for 30 minutes.
because it's semi-annual. There's the Summer Games Done Quick is happening right now. We are probably launching on the 24th at midnight, and so that means at this very moment that it goes live, Final Doom is about to kick off.
Nice.
And it's going to be done by King Dime and produced by, or I don't even know what that means. Runners and the host. Okay, so the host is Prolix and the runner is King Dime.
Nice.
Don't know who they are, but they're Twitch people. Go check them out. Go to some gamesdonequick.com. So gamesdonequick.com/schedule, and it has a list of all the games that are going to happen, what they're playing, who the runners are, and who the organizations behind them all are. And I know I like to have this up and streaming every time they go live at my desk at work. It's just kind of background noise. It's there, and I'll check into it occasionally with breaks, and I'll listen to it. I love watching old games. Like there's so much stuff. I'm just going to pick some things from this list. Metroid Prime's going to be speedrun. Okay, that's awesome. I mean, we talked about that. Then I just saw it, Contra, Marble Madness, DuckTales 2 from the NES.
Wow.
Yeah, everything. There's nothing held back. We're talking about Final Doom happening, Devil May Cry on PC.
Wow.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Conquest, Super Mario 2. So there's just tons of fun. You find your favorite game, go check it out. I highly recommend it. Interact with people in the chat. Everyone's super cool and chill, and they're all supportive and just like celebrating games, celebrating the charities, celebrating the speedrunners and their efforts, cheering them on. It's a huge event. It's awesome. I just love being a part of it.
Yeah, and we're not even we're not being paid or anything to advertise it. We're genuinely we think it's a fascinating organization. Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about speedrunning itself. And, I really wish I hadn't even thought to write this question down, but now I'm regretting it.
Let's go.
It would have been awesome if we had dug into what's the history, like where's the. I know
research.
Exactly research. That's what I'm saying. I regret not thinking about it earlier because I would have done research. But so
I can speculate some of the history if you would like.
Yeah, go ahead and speculate.
Only because I know the history of video games, and this is harkening back to the days of like the Donkey Kong score competitions, the high scores. Right, they were validated by the crowd around them, and they would have to live play an arcade. So they didn't have the fancy emulators, they didn't have the internet. Right, they're like competing at a location, and there's a crowd around them watching them live. Now we have the evolution of the internet, so people are doing these high score runs with the advent of emulators, assisted software, capture cards, recording things, streaming stuff on the internet. So I imagine speedrunning is the same evolution. It's like now we have Twitch. Now you can stream yourself live to a whole audience of the internet.
I bet it came before that, though. I bet there were organizations and again, small communities. I bet there are people who are legends. Like, oh, this was the first person who discovered this thing in Mario that made it so that they were able to complete Mario 64 in blank time. And then since then, people have beat their time, but it's
and I hope they recorded it on a VCR because it's like on a Nintendo 64 before any digital recording happened.
Yeah, so we might have to revisit. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about that question, we might have to revisit this topic after we've done some more research and dig into like who are or even talk to a speedrunner. I would love that. If you are a speedrunner and listening to this, and you have some records or you're very involved in that community, please let us know. Reach out to us because we want to interview you. Yeah, yes. Straight up. But other than the history of it, which we have clearly not done enough research on, even though we're interested in it.
It's good music.
Why do you think speedrunning has become popular? What about speedrunning is popular?
I just nailed it. It's Twitch.
Yeah.
Twitch is taking off like crazy. Yeah. People love to watch people play games, but I think half the appeal of watching people play games is because they're doing something crazy
that you can't do.
They're either really, really good,
and
so you're watching them for their skill and trying to learn from them, or they're really, really bad and they're funny, and so it's cool and entertaining to watch, or they're doing a challenge run, and so that's interesting in and of itself, or they're speedrunning.
Yeah.
And because speedrunning is so popular now, it's like it's exponentially growing.
Right, and it's a skill thing, it's just like the best Call of Duty players, like someone who's speedrunning a game has to not only have knowledge, just like a Call of Duty player has to have knowledge of the game. They have to know how everything works, what the meta is, what's good against what.
Spawn points, locations, strategies.
Yeah, exactly. They have to have knowledge. The speedrunner has knowledge, but they also have skill. They also have that Twitch reaction time necessary to have the edge over their competition.
Yep.
And that's what speedrunning essentially, even if it's all in good fun and even if people are chill about it, at the end of the day,
it's
that time is what matters. Being able to say, I beat it in this time and I hold that record. That's the goal. That's the end goal. Otherwise, why do it? I mean, yeah, sure, you can have personal records and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, the community is built around who is the fastest in the world. That's what everyone wants to know. That's those are the legends. And sure, there are people who, someone's going to pioneer something and they're going to go down in history as the person who figured out how to make Mario bounce off that shell in such a way where, he got a faster time or whatever. But nevertheless, like the most important person in any speedrunning community is the person who has the best time.
And another thing that makes it more popular is video games continue to grow. Yeah. There's always new games coming out.
Right.
The old games don't go away. There's always ways to reach back and find some way to play some old game. And so what you were talking about with the competition, it's like someone shows up with an obscure game it's never been speedrun.
Spedded run.
What's the past tense for speedrun? It's never been done before. And so they throw it down and they're like, I'm doing this. And so he works really, or she works really hard.
Ran, maybe.
Speed ran?
Speed ran. Oh, that sounds wrong.
It does, doesn't it? So they show up to the table with a game it's never been done before, and they're like, I'm doing this.
Right, introducing and creating a community almost, yeah.
And then all of a sudden that starts a whole new branch of competition.
Right, and there's an excitement.
Following that.
Yeah, and there's an excitement. People were talking about speedrunning Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild came out.
Right.
So new games come out that people are hyped about.
Ooh, other speedruns for God of War?
Probably. Oh, absolutely.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
I'm curious. I want
Spider-Man.
Yeah, all of those there are probably speedruns for, and I would be curious to see how those communities are going, how those communities formed, and talk to people within those communities because they're probably interesting people. And there's probably things you could learn about all those games. And again, that's one of the things that's interesting about speedrunning is there's always. It's almost like it's the competition, the one-upmanship, and yes, it's the communities, the interesting the interesting communities pop up around them. But I think one of the coolest things about speedrunning, and that maybe is an unspoken reason for why they're so popular, is it's the increase of the knowledge. There's there's always I want to see if I could pull that off in a game. Maybe it might not be a speed run, but you might say, whoa, that move with the shell was cool. I want to try that. And I now know that's a thing. So it makes you interesting at parties because you can say, oh, by the way, you're talking about Mario Kart. Did you know that you can do this in Mario Kart if you blah, blah,
you're
blah,
so
blah,
cool.
blah, blah,
I want to
yeah.
be just like you.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I saw it on a speed run. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it just increases all of our knowledge about how these games work. I would even be interested to know what creators think of speedruns and how, if they've been like, oh, we totally didn't intend that, but
they're the ultimate testers, right?
But they also know the code. You know what I mean? Like they know the code more than anybody else. So they'll be. I'm sure there are moments where they're like, oh yeah, if you do angle Mario that way against a wall and then hold the A button and then let it go. Oh, sure, I can see how my code would have resulted in him flying halfway across the map, and through a wall. It's just so it would be interesting to hear from them about what they think about how speedrunners are essentially hacking their games in order to, but not because again they're not hacking them, they're just using what's there that they've discovered. So there's sort of a layer of exploration and discovery and knowledge that people are gaining as a result of doing this stuff.
And you talk about how cool the community is and how competitive it is too, but in that competitive context, watching Summer Games Done Quick in past years, I've actually seen someone who has spent, and they track the speedrunner against the record, and they're like, okay, he's hitting this mark, or she's hitting this mark, she's hitting this mark, and that person's being successful, and then they get 2 hours into a stream and something bad happens that's outside of their control, because it still is a video game. There still are random things,
chaos, and
sometimes you roll the dice and you get lucky, and sometimes you don't. And so you have to keep doing the runs over and over again to get that consistent score, but you would watch them live. So this is happening, and they get a bad luck. Thing happens to them. A monster happens to spawn in the wrong spot and hit them, and they die, and they have to start over, and they fail. Everyone is just grieved. Yeah. It's not just there's not haha, I got you. It's
right.
In sports, you see a player get injured, and there's a moment of somberness of oh man, is he okay? And all right, he's fine. Back to the game. This is
Soccer
your
more than
run.
other sports.
Your run is over. You're done. And you can just see the disappointment everywhere. If it's that tense. Sometimes it's just kind of fun. It's I tried it. And they move on. And so you just see that community supporting each other even in their failures. And because it's live, you get to catch it all. It's really cool. And nothing's pre-recorded and canned. So you're not watching a record-setting run. It could potentially be a record-setting run. But it's just really, really cool to see the community work together in that aspect too.
Cool. So my next questions are revolving around kind of stats. And so we did do a little bit of research. I want to credit a Reddit user who may or may not still, with Reddit, this is a 4-year-old post, so who
Wow.
knows? A, who knows how
Very interesting name.
how updated the stats are, and B, who knows if this account is still active. But nevertheless, we're going to be quoting a post from a guy named Starting a New Life on Reddit.
Starting dash A. Yeah, there's dashes between every word.
And
starting
that's
a new life.
So he was a person who 4 years
she.
ago plotted. Yeah, he or she was a person who 4 years ago. So this data is a little bit old, but it gives you a sense as to what kinds of games are speedrunned. But anyway, so we're gonna go through a couple of like major stats that I wanted to hit. So I wanted to ask what are the most popular games for speedrunning, and Ocarina of Time, supposedly count of runs per game, has about a little bit over 1,300 different speedruns that
And
people have done.
second place, just to give that context, is a little over 900.
Right.
So a 400 attempt difference.
Yeah, so Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is the most sped-run game.
And I'm wondering if it says count of runs per game. I wonder if that means like record runs.
Right.
Meaning the amount of regular runs that
Yeah.
happen all the time. Like I could start one right now. Like how many?
Yeah.
Those would be way higher. So I imagine these are like record setting or record kept.
Representative.
There's
yeah.
something about each of these 1,300 plus runs that matter with Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And then second place is just over 900 with Super Mario 64.
Super Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine. So I think it's interesting that 2 Mario games are on the top.
Yep.
Like top 5 essentially. After Super Mario Sunshine, and all of the top ones except for maybe the 5th one are Nintendo games, because you've got after Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, you've got Metroid Prime, and then a game called Super Meat Boy. Is that a Nintendo game? Do you know anything about?
No, Super Meat Boy is an indie game. It came out with the Xbox Live Arcade,
cool,
back
awesome.
on the 360. It's
I just wanted to make
one
sure
of
it
the
was
most,
a Nintendo game. Yeah.
one of the most biggest success stories in the early advent of indie gaming.
Yeah. And then other games are Portal is after Super Meat Boy, and then Super Mario World back to Nintendo games, Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Majora's Mask after that, and Sonic Adventure, and Portal 2, and I think that's the top 10. So yeah, those are your top 10 speedrun games. So that gives you a sense of what are these games people are doing. Almost all of those games, as far as I can tell, are pre-2010, right?
Well, this thing was posted in 2014.
That's true, yeah. So we'll obviously see if
outdated.
those numbers are up to date. But I also want to talk about what are some of the fastest runs, just objectively fastest times for across any game. And what this came up with was, oops. So the shortest run of any game was a game called, and what is that? VVVVVVV?
Yeah. It's on the PlayStation Arcade or Xbox Arcade, whatever you call it, the PSN store, Xbox. Yeah, it's an indie title.
Yeah.
It's just V's.
It's a game called VVVVVVV,
And it was done 42-ish.
42 seconds is what it looks like. Yep.
Yep.
And then after that is a game called What You Eat From Your Head to Your Feet.
It sounds like another one of those like weird Steam or PSN titles
definitely.
that like no one knows.
Sure, done in 51 seconds. The first recognizable game on there, we'll skip ahead to the first recognizable game, is about 6 games down, is Spyro Enter the Dragonfly.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's a game that was, some of these other games you could say maybe they were designed to be able to be done fast, whereas Spyro is a game that you're going to be normally putting, 10, 15 hours into.
Right.
And what's the shortest run on that?
Just over a minute.
Yeah, looks like
90.
is that 70 seconds?
79,
yeah,
78.
78 or 79 seconds. That's nuts.
We're looking at a bar graph,
Right,
so
yeah.
it's hard to see.
So they don't have it specific down to the number. I'm sure that the actual number is specific.
Yep.
Other games on there that are recognizable: Super Monkey Ball is a couple down from Spyro.
Just under 100 seconds.
And A Link to the Past is the big recognizable one on there, which
Yes.
has been done in looks like just under 100 seconds as
That's
well.
insane. To
That's
finish that
nuts,
entire
yeah.
game in a minute and a half.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is nuts.
I can't think of how it's possible, but
Right,
it's,
go watch it.
done.
I'm sure
Yeah,
it's
it's probably on there. And again, this was from 2014, so who knows if any of those records have been beaten? Who knows if any other games have been added to that list? But we just wanted to give you a sense as to what kinds of games are being
and
done.
they all have their which type of run they've done kind of marked out. So like the top 5 are all
or
any
difficulty.
percentage.
Yeah, and some regards,
difficulties
they
are
have the
called
difficulties
out.
too.
Whether they're allowed to have glitches or not is called out. So these are all any percentages in normal.
Yeah.
There's one of them is beginner mode.
The other, again, speaking of those categories, the major categories that are played are the
80%.
top ones, any percent.
By a lot.
Which is, that's just, again,
Like
you're trying
5
to get
1.
to the credits, basically.
Right.
100% is after that, so full completion of the game. But
That's second place.
But second place by a significant, margin beneath that. Mm-hmm. I don't know those 70 stars, 16 stars.
That's reference to Mario 64.
To Mario 64?
Which is hilarious. Mario 64's sped run speed ran so much that they have their own categories of speed running based on it. So 10-star means finishing the game with only 10 stars, and 16 means finishing the game with only 16.
Gotcha.
If you played the game, you know that you need 70 to get to the final battle.
70 stars. So completing with all the stars.
70.
Yep.
My bad. I thought I said 10. So
Yeah.
70 star and 16 star.
Yeah.
You need to get 70 stars to fight the last boss, to fight Bowser at the very end of the game. So getting 70 stars as fast as you can to open the door legitimately is one way. Finishing the game with only 16 stars, that's crazy. Obviously, they're glitching.
Yeah.
So,
and some of these categories, you're going to have like you're going to have like 70 star 100% runs or 70 star any percent runs, and then there's, beneath the star runs are the glitchless. So you're going to have glitchless runs that are like, okay, yeah, you're trying to beat, it's going to be any percent, but it's going to be glitchless. You know what I mean? So there's going to be different records. So yeah, that just goes to show there's different combinations. So find the one that you're most impressed by and follow it. I, for one, am just impressed by just the objective number. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care by what means, except for maybe tool assisted. Like, I want to see you get to what number, what's the fastest anyone can beat a game by any means possible. So.
Of these categories, which one do you think is my favorite that I would appeal to
100%,
the most? Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. No way.
A 100% completion with no glitches.
Yeah,
that's
no
the
glitches.
speedruns I want to watch the most.
Yeah, yep. So that's cool. All right, back to our question.
You just knew it.
I just knew it, of course. Blink. Yeah. Cool. What impact do you think that speedrunning's had on the gaming community and industry at large?
Now we have an army of speedrunners that are analyzing every single game through their lens of what can I do to make this faster.
Yeah.
And the developers, I believe, are putting things like accessibility options and level design. It has to change. Like, I just imagine that it has to. I don't have any concrete evidence that proves that, but I imagine the growing player base of speedrunners that then go to develop games. Right? Because that's the cross-pollination there. They're also the developers. They're going to put things in there that make it like, not easier, but at least lean towards them and be like, hey, this is for you, speedrunners, and have that kind of feature. Like, I feel like Breath of the Wild, we talk about it all the time. The way that it was structured is you don't have to do anything in any order. You can go straight to Ganon right from the beginning. It was just like a big sign to speedrunners saying, you can speedrun our game. Here you go. This is going to be huge. And that's what it happened. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I can see the opposite happening too. Like, oh, we know people are going to try to speedrun this, so how can we confound it and make it more difficult for them, more challenging for them, more impressive when they do it? Yeah, I think that's going to come huge into game design in the next generation as well, as a result of the proliferation of speedrunning. I think the biggest impact that it's had, I mean, on the community, just again, the fact that it's so grassroots. I'm going to be so disappointed if this thing ever becomes commercialized to the point where it kind of ruins it. It's one of the last bastions of like community run, community led, community organized gaming that we have. And so I think it's great. And for that reason, I think it serves as an interesting counterpoint, as I had mentioned earlier, to esports, because in both cases, you've got two modes of gaming that represent the highest skill and highest knowledge of any individual game, and the highest form of competitiveness. Again, that speedrunning number, whatever stipulations or whatever rules you put forth, that number is what's important. In the same way that, the best Fortnite players in the world, what matters is their number. What matters is how many games they've won, how many people they've beat, so it's just those stats. And so in a way, speedrunning sort of represents this sort of subset of esports that I think we're going to see garner more and more attention over the next console generation, the next 10 years of gaming. So I guess we're already seeing that. We're already seeing it become more popular. So that's the effect that it's had. And to answer my next question, what I want to see in the future for esports,
VR,
VR, of course. What I want to see in the future for speedrunning is I want to see it grow in popularity, grow in legitimacy, while still retaining as much of its community identity as possible, without, like, again, the money getting involved too much. I want to see those people be able to, get compensated for their talents and their skills. So I do want to see
which they will through YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah, I want to see some level of I guess I want to see some money come into it, but what I don't want to happen is I don't want it to become the speedrunning league, and you know, tune in to ESPN8 to see the speedrunning league, and you know, here's all the commercials.
I mean, it could be headed in that direction.
I could, and you know, they could get, you know, the best speedrunners could be looking at, you know, advertising deals with, you know, keyboard
Doritos.
Doritos. Yeah, who knows? They could be wearing suits that have all the ads on them, like NASCAR racers. Their computers,
esports people do.
Their rigs could have, you know,
here's
stickers
your
on them.
Rocat
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Your MSI
yeah.
and your...
But I would be worried about, you know, I would be happy for them, but I would also be worried about what that would do to those communities, because those communities are just so grassroots right now. And so,
right.
I want them to become their own thing, and I want them to seek their own. If they seek advertiser sponsorship, I want it to be something that they have control of and they lead, and that grows out of their communities and allowing them to make the rules, as opposed to the ESA stepping in and being like, we're going to now make money off of this. So yeah, that's what I want to see from it. Any thoughts? Any additions there?
I am going to link off to an interview on Polygon with Kyle Pulver, an indie developer who worked on a game called Snapshot. And this interview between Polygon and Kyle highlights from Awesome Games Done Quick 2016 is all about speedrunning from a developer's perspective. It's exactly what we're talking about. I have not had a chance to read this article myself, but it's very pertinent to this. So go check that out. That'll be in our show notes. What do I want to see come from speedrunning in the future? Consoles are making it way, way easier. The barrier of entry is way lower for Twitch streamers.
Yeah.
Like right now on the PlayStation 4, if I buy a $50 camera, has a built-in microphone, and I can start Twitch streaming right now through the PlayStation's operating system.
Yeah.
I imagine in the future generations, that's only going to get easier.
Yeah.
That entry is going to go lower, the quality will go up, and the internet infrastructure will increase.
Yep.
Meaning we will have way more people streaming, way more people on Twitch, way more people on YouTube doing their thing, making their money, doing their Patreons, getting their tips, advancing their careers, being speedrunners. I want to see what the future holds with that. And you kind of touched on it with it. You don't want to see it become legitimized into esports leagues, but I kind of do. Like, maybe I want to tune in to watch.
I want to see it legitimized. Legitimized is what I do want to see. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see it become, I guess, glutted by
corporations.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Or at least not. At least without there being some significant, you know, negotiation. I want the people in control of that to be the people who are in control of it now.
I see.
The speedrunners themselves,
you like
the communities
grassroots
themselves,
and you want to stay there.
Yeah,
yeah, I do too. There's an appeal to it. It's like, yeah,
because of things like Games Done Quick. You know what I mean? Where they're raising money for charity. Like I said, these people aren't trying to enrich themselves, and it's almost as if the community themselves doesn't want it to be legitimized. Which that's fine. That's their prerogative. You know what I mean?
You don't want the speedrunners' motivations to be like, I'm trying to get into this company.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my sponsorship, so I'm doing this for a sponsorship.
I want them to do it because they're the best, you know? Like, yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. But I agree. I want to go to a competition. I want to go to a big, you know, with the big screens and the countdown clock. You know,
that'd be sweet.
You're tracking the best time, and I want it to be a thing that's nationally recognized for how awesome it is, while still retaining their identity as like good folk. Yep. So yeah. Well, cool.
I hope also looking into the future, there are movements happening that are also very grassroots to preserve the history of video games.
Yeah.
And there are different avenues that are doing that. GOG.com, GOG, is a website that goes out and tracks down very old PC games that companies who have developed have now scattered. Their companies don't exist. The employees are everywhere. So they'll actually track down these old games, acquire the licenses that are required from whatever legal ease is still relevant to their IP, and get them on a modern computer and preserve them in some way that allows people like you and me to go play them. I hope that continues to evolve and grow. And then I want to see more speedruns of like those really old obscure games that no one's really paying attention to right now.
No one's touched,
And
because they can't, because they don't have the hardware, or because the game just has fallen out of support.
I want to see like the history of games kind of elevated in stature amongst the modern games
and
too.
Speedrunning's an avenue by which that can happen.
Yep.
Yeah, cool, awesome. All right, well that's our show. Tell us what your thoughts are.
That is it.
Termite, where can, again, just as a recap, where can they
just go to
communicate with us?
80bitpodsmash.com. That's our main website. That's where you can find everywhere we are as far as listening to our shows. We have our social media platforms, Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, and Twitter. At us at 80bit, 80bit, Podsmash. Also go to iTunes and give us a rating. That would be awesome if you give us a star rating. We haven't gotten a single rating for 2019. I checked it.
Oh, you
and
guys.
And so I see our numbers blowing up. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Thank you for listening
great.
to us. Thank you for joining us. But I'm seeing hundreds of downloads per week and no reviews on iTunes.
Take that next step and just shoot a review.
iTunes is they're closing it. So I don't know how relevant that's going to be right now. I just remembered
they're getting
that.
rid of the ratings or the reviews?
I don't know. The whole platform. Like iTunes is going away. It's from what I've heard.
Becoming Apple Podcasts, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, well, just, share us on Facebook. Or
you might be called a gamer though.
Yeah, you probably be called a gamer, but that's fine.
But yes, tell your friends about us.
If someone gives you crap about being a gamer, then say, why don't you check out this podcast? And they explain in a very cool way how gaming shouldn't be stigmatized. So that's a thing.
It is.
Just send them our direction. We'll have arguments with them. It's great. But just what Termite's hitting at is engagement is the next step. So
we want to know your thoughts, concerns, questions.
We see
comments,
lots of
suggestions.
listens, and that's great. We're super happy. We're super thankful that you're listening to us. But we want to also hear from you because your thoughts, your ideas, your engagement will help fuel this show and help give us ideas, give us thoughts, and give us what we want to hear. Is what do you guys want to hear? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We want this show to be a show that you guys like. And if you're already listening to us, then clearly you already at least can tolerate us. So what can we do to make our show better, more appealing to us? The only way that we can start to build that show the way you want it is if we hear from you. So please don't be shy. Reach out.
I would love to have a segment on the show where we read questions from you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, but we don't have any questions right now. So please reach out. Keep your ear to the ground. Keep your eyes on that Twitter account and stuff for announcements as to who knows, by the time when this airs, we may have already worked out a schedule, but we are going to be Twitch streaming. So we are going to start streaming us playing PlayStation 4 games. Sometimes it'll be both of us.
Speaking of that PlayStation camera.
Most of the time it'll be one of us, because we'll be sharing a camera. But yeah, we're going to start streaming off of our Twitch account, which is just Twitch at
Twitch.tv/80bitpodsmash.
Yep. And, so you'll be able to play games with us and hopefully engage with us there as well, which would be awesome. Again, we don't have an official announcement, but where an official announcement as to what our schedule will be, when we'll be streaming, what fixed times we'll be streaming, that will all be on Twitter and Facebook when
it happens,
when we have announcements to
and
share.
We'll talk about it on the show too.
Yep, exactly. So cool. Well then, those are all the ways where you can engage with us and follow us, and we'll see you then.
See you next week.